This is Kathleen Wells, host of The Naked Truth Report. And guess what, folks? The Naked Truth Report supports pro-English. And I'd like my truth warriors and mythbusters to support them too. Pro-English is the nation's leading advocate for English as the official language. They advocate for legislation in D.C., on Capitol Hill, in the White House, and in state houses across America in an effort to persuade lawmakers to adopt English as the official language at all levels of government. Right now, Pro-English supports the English Language Unity Act in Congress. And guess what? They're also working with the courts and the Court of Public Opinion to defend English's historic role as America's common and unifying language. 81% of Americans say that English should be the official language of the USA. And that's our position, and we want Congress to act now. Winston Churchill said the gift of a common language is a priceless inheritance. And President Teddy Roosevelt said, we have but one flag, we must also learn one language, and that language is English. So I'm asking you, truth warriors and mythbusters, to join me and the Naked Truth Report in supporting Pro-English today. You can follow Pro-English on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can visit their website at proenglish.org. That's right, proenglish.org. Show them some love.
Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. I'm so excited. You know why? Because I have two guests in the studio with me today, and we're going to go straight to them because I'd like to give them enough time to let you know about what's going on with their platform. In fact, I have two Republicans who are running for office on June 5th. This is very exciting, but first I want to mention, did you hear my new sponsor/advertiser, Pro-English? You know, that's a fantastic thing. With us being here in Los Angeles and English, you know, we've heard many people call in and talk about the fact that they've had to speak Spanish to get a job. So please support Pro-English, my new sponsor/advertiser. Go to their website, proenglish.org, and I think you will do us a favor, because they're my sponsor, and we want to show them love, right? So my guests in the studio today are Bob Lindsey, who's running for the sheriff, the L.A. County Sheriff. He's on the Republican ticket. I'm excited to have him. And I also have Eric Early, who is running on the Republican ticket for Attorney General. It's exciting, right? And they're both with me here in the studio. So, Bob Lindsey, tell me, why are you running for L.A. County Sheriff?
You know, I had 32 years with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and then I got recruited to the state courts, and I've worked there for about 7 years. And I was getting ready to retire with my wife and head out of the state. And I took a look back, and I thought, 32 years with the department, the most glorious department in the world. And when I look back at it, it's in shambles. And when the sheriff's department is in shambles, it puts the community in shambles. And I've got 5 grandbabies here living in this area. And I thought, I can't leave it like that. So I did a U-turn. I came back, and I asked my wife if it was okay. Do you mind if we do one last thing? Just this simple thing. Mm-hmm. Run for sheriff of Los Angeles County. She looked at me. She knew it wasn't simple. But here we are a year later. And I will tell you, it's been one of the most magnificent things I've done in my life. All of the people I've met in all of the communities.
So when you say the county sheriff department is in shambles, specifically, what do you mean?
Well, I'll tell you, about 4 years ago, 3.5 now, a guy named McDonald got elected, and he ran for office against a guy that was going to prison, Paul Tanaka. So he won that election, and in fact, I voted for him. Most of the people on the sheriff's department voted for him, and we had hope, we had faith that he was going to come in and take what was a corrupt department, turn it around, do the things that were necessary to clean it up, and then everybody would move on and be happy. That's not what happened. He came in. He didn't make the changes that were necessary. If you look at what's happened with the Sheriff's Department and L.A. County, crime is up. Now, he's out there saying it's down, but let me give you just a few statistics, if I may. These are local statistics, and we'll compare 2017 year-to-date to 2018. Altadena, robberies are up 140%. Carson, felony assaults are up 72%. Cerritos, forcible rape up 200%. Compton, murders are up 133%. East LA, forcible rape up 57%. Industry robberies up 52%. Lakewood, rape is up 216%. Lancaster, violent crime up 75%. Malibu, rape is up 71%. Palmdale, murders are up 900%.
Wait, no one will believe this is unbelievable.
Well, and that's because statistics can be twisted any way he wants to. So he's out there twisting the truth while the victims are being forgotten out there.
You know, and my Truth Warriors and Mythbusters know that I live in Leimert Park. And, you know, things are happening in that area. In fact, you know, when you come out to your car in the morning, if you haven't locked it, someone has gone through the inside of your car and your console looking through things. You know, I hear things like this it happened to me, and I hear things like this on my Nextdoor app. You know, they have an app for each neighborhood, and I hear things like that. So I believe it. And, you know, on those apps, they talk about the things that are going on in the neighborhood. So this is unbelievable. So tell me, why is crime up like that?
Well,
so dramatically.
Well, we can talk about the propositions, which do feed some of the crime, because the state prisoners are being released out into the community, and also they're being released down into the county jails where they do not belong. They do not. The county jails were built for people to be there 1 year. Now we have people in there 20 and 30 years, which has led to assaults on deputies. It's led to a lot of aggression in our jails. And really, honestly, if you get arrested today in Los Angeles County and go into the jail, it's not a safe place for anybody. Deputies want to leave there because they think it's a dangerous place for them. So if you get arrested today, though, and I think this is an important statistic that all the people need the truth out there, if you get arrested today in L.A. County and you're sentenced to 1 year by the judge, you only do about 10 days in jail. So it's a complete turnaround. It's flash incarceration. People who are committing crimes are released just to commit more crimes. And this is happening throughout L.A. County, and everybody in the other counties know this. So people from San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange, it doesn't matter where you live. If you want to commit a crime, this is the place to come, right here in L.A. County.
So, on this show, what we're concerned about is illegal aliens and being a sanctuary city. Talk about that. How does it impact anything?
Well, it's huge. We have to get rid of all these the people who have committed the felonies. The persons who have come here and committed crimes, they have to leave immediately. We can't even keep up with it. We've got allegedly about 12,000 MS-13 gang members around here. They're roaming around our streets, and we know that they basically say control, torture, rape. That's their motto. They have to go. We have our hands full. But the problem right now is the current sheriff hasn't hired enough deputies. He has the budget for them, but he's down about 1,200 deputies. So when you go out to patrol, there's not enough people there. When you go to the courts, there's not enough deputies there. When you go to the community colleges, we're short. The deputies aren't getting any time off anymore. They're having to work overtime shifts throughout the county, and they're tired.
Mm-hmm. So tell my listeners, what's the difference between L.A. Police Department and the L.A. County Sheriff's Department?
The L.A. Police Department polices the city of Los Angeles. And the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has policing responsibility for the entire county, 4,100 square miles. Mm-hmm. So we have the ability to go anywhere in the county, but we generally stay out of L.A. City's area, or if you have a private agency, let's say it's like San Gabriel or Monrovia or even Manhattan Beach, we allow those police departments to police there, but quite often they will call us for assistance when things get complicated, maybe when they need a SWAT team or a homicide occurs, or they just need help from the Sheriff's Department. But we have the entire county, 4,100 square miles.
And how will you have enough money to hire more sheriffs?
Well, the budget is there. It's a $3.2 billion budget. It's more than a lot of countries. Mm-hmm. And so the money is there, but the sheriff that's there now didn't understand he had to hire these bodies, because when he was at LAPD, which you asked that question, it's a good question, he didn't have to hire. A different entity hired for him. When he came to the sheriff's department, his responsibility immediately was to try and keep up with attrition. Every year we lose anywhere between 350 to 450 deputies. That's just retirements and things like that. Right now, there's a mass exodus from the sheriff's department because everybody is so unhappy. The morale there is the lowest in history. We have people retiring 2 and 3 years early. We have deputies lateraling, even deputies that are in the academy. The minute they graduate, they're lateraling.
And they're unhappy because management?
Management. It's a lack of leadership, and they're looking up and they're not feeling they have any support to fight crime. They're not feeling that they have any support to, when they go out and do police work, they believe that the next day they're going to be fired. Mm. So there's a massive amount of firing going on at the department and terminations.
Why do they believe they're going to be fired the next day?
Because that's the track record that this current sheriff has. So he has done it at Long Beach, and he did it here. And in fact, many of the deputies get their jobs back. He went to civil service in these termination cases, and he was losing about 67% of the time. And when he was losing, he got angry about that and got up and said, this isn't right. But instead of looking at himself and saying, geez, maybe I am overreacting here, what he did was he changed the entire discipline policy on the sheriff's department so that minor offenses now became termination offenses. And so the deputies know this, so that's why they're out there not wanting to react to things. They don't want to be the first unit on scene. They don't want to touch anybody at all. They just don't want to be involved in police work because they're fearful that they'll lose their job, they'll lose their income, they'll lose their health insurance, they'll lose their family, they won't be able to feed their kids, and this is happening throughout the department.
So those data points that you gave me, crime is up. That's since Jim McDonnell has been the sheriff.
This is just the comparison I gave you is from 2017 to 2018. If we compare 2014 to 2018, it's through the ceiling. So, his tenure here has led to increased crime. However, I'm sure here in the near future you're going to see him. He's paid a lot of money to the Times to probably put articles in there that are going to be blasted out to the people here in Los Angeles County that aren't going to be the truth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, the people who listen to the Naked Truth Report know that we have a problem, a grave problem in California and in Los Angeles. And homelessness is one of the problems. But everything, for me, is stemming from illegal aliens. Everything is like a ripple effect from the increase in crime, the increase. So how is this interplay between, like, a sheriff being able to deal with when someone commits a crime and they're an illegal alien? How does that work out exactly?
Well, there's certain categories of crimes that we have to go ahead, or we should go ahead and give to ICE. Here's what I'm finding in the immigrant community. When you go out into the immigrant community, what they're saying is, look, we don't want bad people here. They're afraid. But they're also afraid to report somebody who has come across the border, who is raped or who is beat up or who is robbed, is afraid to come report all those. And so crime is up even without those crimes being reported. Mm-hmm. And so they won't come forward and tell us who they are. So what we need to do as law enforcement is find these criminals and get rid of them. And we have to do that by embracing some of the people in the community as informants and as witnesses so that we can get these predators out. Because you know what? These predators, they don't really just ask if you're illegal. If they just find a victim, and when they find them, and that's what we're finding, is it's spreading out to areas it's never been in before, whether it's Hancock Park, Arcadia. That's a pretty affluent area, 250% increase in burglaries in 1 year.
Wow.
This is terrible. It's happening all over, and it doesn't matter what city you live in. The homeless situation is completely out of control. When you now have to put social workers on the trains in order to deal with the homeless, somebody has to ask themselves, is what we're doing working right now? I don't think so.
It's not working. And I'm going to bring now Eric Early into the conversation. He's running for Attorney General on the Republican ticket. And we were just talking about sanctuary cities. So tell my listeners your position on sanctuary cities.
Well, Kathleen, first of all, thanks for having me here today. Listen, I'm not a politician. I own and run a law firm of 25 lawyers. We do business litigation. We practice in all the states of California, all the courts of California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Florida. I manage and I run the law firm, and I run a business. I make payroll for over 30 people every 2 weeks. And I got in this race because I couldn't stand what was happening in our state. And I didn't see anybody step up for this job that I thought was right for the job, so I stepped up. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me, quite honestly, was last year when I woke up and I found out that California was now going to be called a sanctuary state. Mm-hmm. It's an outrage. And when the Trump administration came out and sued the state, I came out immediately and I supported the Jeff Sessions lawsuit against the state. Mm-hmm. And I've been out front every single time one of these great cities and counties have been either opting out of the sanctuary state law or joining in the Sessions lawsuit against the state. The sanctuary state law is unconstitutional. It violates the supremacy clause of the U.S. Constitution. And no attorney general of the state of California should be supporting some law that is unconstitutional. In fact, I'm the person that wrote the resolution that I then submitted along with Sean Steele and the Honorable Michelle Park Steele to the Republican convention in San Diego, requesting that the party agree to join in the Sessions lawsuit against the state. And the party then did adopt that resolution. Listen, that law, and I say that it should be called the Illegal Alien Felon Protection Act, because that is all that his law is being used to do. It's being used exclusively to protect that group of people who not only came here illegally, but have been committing crimes, oftentimes violent crimes, since they got here. And no state and no country should be protecting someone who's not only here illegally, but has been committing crimes since they got here. Our state and local law enforcement should not have their hands tied, which is what that law does. They should be again allowed to work with ICE to out these criminals and get them the heck out of our country. And I'm not talking about the 2 million illegal immigrants who are here, and there are 2 million in this state, who've gotten here, who have not been breaking the law since they got here, who are trying to be part of the American system. The sanctuary state law is not protecting them. The sanctuary state law is only being used to protect that group that I told you about, and that's why this law has to be repealed, and this is why I'm so against it, and this is why I support what I call this prairie fire, which started with the brave citizens of Los Alamitos, California, and it spread all around Southern California, and now it's spreading all the way up north in California. And one of my opponents, this character Javier Becerra, both him and this other one, Kevin DeLeon, who's up there in the legislature, and the governor, they've stepped on a hornet's nest, and they don't know what to do about it, because this is what happens when you have this one party in control for many years. They've gotten arrogant, and they have forgotten the will of the people, and they don't listen to the people anymore, and they think they can get away with anything. They have in many instances been getting away with anything, and the people are now taking democracy in their own hands, and they're saying enough is enough. And Kathleen, you know what? I'm talking to people all around this state, and people are fed up with what's going on in Sacramento. The media doesn't want to report it. They want to make believe it doesn't exist. People have had enough. We feel up and down the state, we feel disenfranchised by this group that's in power up there. And unfortunately, the majority of the media, which are just left-wing or even further left than left-wing, are doing their best to keep these characters in power. So, you know, this has been a great race. I'm so happy I jumped into this campaign, and it's going really well, and I need your listeners' votes because, you know, we have a week or so, a little bit more than that, before June 5th. People have the absentee ballots right now. They can mail in and vote for Eric Early for Attorney General, or go to the polls on June 5th and vote for Eric Early for Attorney General, because this race can be won. I've been getting, you know, amazing endorsements. I wasn't a politician until October, right? I've been endorsed by Steve Cooley, the former district attorney of Los Angeles, who came within an inch of beating Kamala Harris. Steve Cooley's a great man. I've been endorsed by Sheriff Sandra Hutchins of Orange County because when Becerra came out and threatened her for supposedly violating the sanctuary state law, I came out and supported her. She immediately came out and endorsed me. I've been endorsed by law enforcement up and down the state. I've been endorsed by Darrell Ice. I've been endorsed by Mimi Walters, California Congress Republican, State Senate Republican leader Pat Bates, and the list goes on and on. We can win this race.
Oh, I believe it. In fact, we had Frank DiMartini on last week, who is running against Maxine Waters, and I think he's the guy to vote for because he knows the issues, and Omar Navarro does not. So those folks listening out there in Inglewood, vote for Frank DiMartini. I'm telling you, vote for Frank DiMartini, vote for Bob Lindsey, and vote for Eric Early. Listen, Truth Warriors and Mythbusters, you have something to do, right? We have something to do. We're no longer voting Democrat. Do you see we have 6%, we have 40% homelessness in Los Angeles. Homelessness has increased by 75% over the last 6 years.
Kathleen, let me talk to your listeners a bit. This is Eric Early speaking. First of all, the homelessness is an epidemic. It's out of control. I have several serious thoughts on how to deal with that when I become Attorney General. This fellow Becerra, he's given his backhand to homelessness. He is obsessed with one thing, suing Donald Trump.
Right.
Every time Becerra wakes up in the morning, he's thinking about Donald Trump. When he goes to bed at night, he's thinking about Donald Trump. When he's drinking his coffee, he's thinking about Donald Trump. He's spending millions and millions of dollars of our taxpayer money to go after Trump. He's ignoring all of the other major problems in this state. Him and his cronies have helped lead to what we now have, which is a criminal's paradise in the state of California. And you know, I'm very pro law enforcement. Okay, I talk to sheriffs, I talk to chiefs, I talk to rank and file up and down this state. It's time, after so many years, that they have a friend in the Attorney General's office again, and I will be a friend of law enforcement. And you know, it's time to turn things around in this state.
It's time to turn. We know that. We've been talking about that here on the Naked Truth Report since August, folks, right? My Truth Warriors and Mythbusters, you got to get out there and vote. And I'm telling you who you need to vote for. You're going to vote for Bob Lindsey, Frank DiMartini, and Eric Early. Do you hear me? We got to make it happen. We've got to make the change. Enough is enough. Remember, I talked to you before about what Kevin DeLeon said about half of his family members have stolen Social Security numbers and stolen ID numbers and stuff like that. This show is concerned about these issues, right? And we've always wanted something to do. Well, now is the time to make the change. And now is the time to be proactive.
Kathleen, this is Eric speaking again. Listen, one thing I love so much about your show is how you're reaching out to the African-American community with your message, because the Democrats have taken advantage of the African-Americans for so many years, telling them a false message, keeping them down with, you know, they want to see them not work. And you know what? Republicans like me want every race, creed, color, nationality, sexual orientation to rise up to use the best of their God-given talents to grow and to succeed in this society. And the Democrats hate that message.
Right. Well, we all know how I feel about the Democrats. That's the whole point of my show. Is to get you off of the Democratic plantation, right? We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to open. How do you guys feel about taking calls?
Sure, that's fine.
So I'm here with Bob Lindsey, who's running for sheriff on the Republican ticket, and I'm here with Eric Early, who's running for the Attorney General on the Republican ticket. And I want my Truth Warriors and Mythbusters to call in and talk to either one of them. You can ask them anything you want. I have been telling you for how long now since I've been here, it's time to get off the Democratic plantation. I'm Kathleen Wells, your host. This is the Naked Truth Report. We'll be right back.
Country loved and mercy.
Are you a local business owner? Are you interested in increasing customer counts and store traffic or increasing traffic to your website? If you answered yes, then you need to advertise on the Naked Truth Report. For more information on how to become a sponsor, please reach out to RJ Beaton at 818-517-KRLA. That's 818-517-5752. Or email us at rj@krla870.com. That's rj@krla870.com.
Your country is slipping away from you.
Did you know California is one of the highest tax states in America, but also has the highest poverty rate? And did you know California politicians are considering placing a mileage tax on drivers? Think Prop 13 is safe? Think again. Mandated vaccinations, sexual indoctrination of school children, sanctuary for illegal aliens? Oh, and what about penalizing waiters with jail time and a fine of up to $1,000 for serving an unrequested straw? What's that all about? So the question becomes, when do you get sick and tired of being sick and tired? Friends, it's time to stop voting Democrat. I truly urge you to stand with the South Los Angeles Inglewood Republican Assembly today.
To get involved, visit us at slaira.com. That's SLAIRA.com or call 323-963-4USA.
Hi, this is Kathleen Wells, host of the Naked Truth Report. And guess what, folks? The Naked Truth Report supports pro-English. And I'd like my truth warriors and mythbusters to support them too. Pro-English is the nation's leading advocate for English as the official language. They advocate for legislation in D.C., on Capitol Hill, in the White House, and in state houses across America in an effort to persuade lawmakers to adopt English as the official language at all levels of government. Right now, Pro-English supports the English Language Unity Act in Congress. And guess what? They're also working with the courts and the Court of Public Opinion to defend English's historic role as America's common and unifying language. 81% of Americans say that English should be the official language of the USA. And that's our position, and we want Congress to act now. Winston Churchill said the gift of a common language is a priceless inheritance. And President Teddy Roosevelt said, we have but one flag, we must also learn one language, and that language is English. So I'm asking you, truth warriors and mythbusters, to join me and the Naked Truth Report in supporting Pro-English today. You can follow Pro-English on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can visit their website at proenglish.org. That's right, proenglish.org. Show them some love.
Kathleen Wells, the host of the Naked Truth Report, wants to hear from you. Just like our borders, the phone lines, well, they're wide open. Call in at 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. 866-870-KRLA.
America. Yes, happy Memorial Day to all my listeners out there, to all my truth warriors and mythbusters. I'm here with Bob Lindsey, who is running for the Los Angeles County Sheriff, and also Eric Early, who is running for the Attorney General. And, you know, they're both against sanctuary cities, and that's why they're here as guests on the Naked Truth Report, right? So remember when Kevin DeLeon said that half his family had fake IDs and fake Social Security numbers? Well, I got the two men in my studio right now who are going to be against sanctuary cities. And that's important to us, right? So I want to encourage my Mythbusters and Truth Warriors to vote for Frank DeMartini, Bob Lindsey, and Eric Early. You can vote on June 5th, or you can mail in your ballots. Do you get it? Okay, why don't we take a call now from Andy in Compton. Hi, Andy.
Hello.
Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. You have a question for Bob Lindsey or for Eric Early?
For Frank?
Frank isn't here, hon. He was here last week.
gee. Okay, I'm sorry, wrong time.
Well, do you have a question for Eric Early, who's running for Attorney General, or Bob Lindsey, who's running for L.A. County Sheriff?
Just good luck to him.
Okay. Thank you.
God bless you.
Let me
Thank you.
ask you a question. Are you voting?
Yeah.
Who are you voting for?
I'm voting for Frank D. What's his name?
D. Martini. You should know his name.
Yeah, D. Martini.
And who else are you voting for?
And I'm voting for those guys you got there today.
Good man. Good man.
B.O.B.
But you got to know their names. Bob
Eric Early for Attorney General, buddy.
And Bob Lindsey. You got to know their name, Andy, right?
Right, I got it.
Write it down. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Let's take a call now from Linda in Burbank. Hi, Linda. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
First, I want to say to you that regarding your pro-English advertisement that you put on there, you should add that it's in the California State Constitution.
Okay.
Article 3, Section 6, English, under Purpose A, English is the common language of the people of the United States of America and the state of California. And B, it says English as the official language of California, and English is the official language. English is the official language of the state of California.
Well, actually,
there's more to it, but I'm just, elaborating.
Right, I got it. But, I can only go for a few seconds, 60 seconds or 90 seconds. And, my Pro English wrote that, and I just read it. So that's what they wanted to put in it.
You could add it to your show.
Oh, okay. Okay. You have a question for Bob Early or Eric Early or Bob Lindsey?
First, the one problem I have about, this election is that in California, Schwarzenegger messed up the whole thing, making it winner take all. Mm-hmm. Not primary Republican, primary Democrat.
Well, let me speak to that, Kathleen. This is Eric Early speaking. Linda, this is Eric, who's running for Attorney General. I completely agree with you. This present system of what they call a jungle primary is just out of control. It's ridiculous. Where you let the top two of any party then proceed to the general election in November, and unfortunately, many instances in California, the voters are faced in November with two Democrats. We have to get rid of this jungle primary. It never should have been brought in the first place. That was certainly a mistake of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's they try and do this sort of this social engineering, and social engineering like that always backfires. They never should have gone there.
And I also found out that there was a proposition that got voted in for this, too. I don't recall the number, though.
Propositions 47 and 57.
No. This is about the election.
Probably.
Say that again, Linda?
Wait, isn't 47 and 57 about, the crime thing?
Right.
Well, yeah, 47, Linda, this is Eric again. Proposition 47 and Proposition 57 are these basically these prison emptying bills, which I'm so much against. But I can get into those, too, if you want to talk about them.
And you're also for repealing the gas tax, right?
Oh, Eric, well, yeah, I'm very much for repealing it, and that's why I've been honored to be supported by Carl DeMaio, who's the one who's spearheading the gas tax repeal, and it's his group that got almost 1 million signatures to repeal that gas tax. We have to repeal it. And so I'm very much against the gas tax, and I'm very much against this whole tax structure in particular. It's one of the reasons why so many great Californians are just leaving the state or not even coming here in the first place.
Okay, Linda, thank you very much. Now we have a call from William in Tahunga, and he says, Bob, what are you going to do to combat bad deputies using the sheriff union to cover up their crimes? Hi, William. Hi, William.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're from Tahunga, and you want to know what Bob will do to combat bad deputies using the sheriff union to cover up crimes. That's for Bob?
That's exactly right. And specifically, I'm sure he's familiar with something called the Brady List that the LA Times, which I used to work for but no longer, came out with in December. And although the Times has become a left-wing progressive rag, there were some troubling revelations about some deputies in that Brady List report, and I want to know what he can do or would do to combat deputies who hide behind the union, but who have committed clearly serious crimes and are still on the job. And I don't think it's McDonald's total responsibility. I think that he's trying to do something about that, and he's getting some blowback. But I'd like Mr. Lindsey's perspective on that.
Yeah, you bet. Any deputy who's going to commit a crime, false police reports or excessive force, unnecessary force, they need to go. They need to be terminated. When you're talking about the Brady List of 300, what happened with that was McDonnell went back 20, 30 years on cases. He went back into the archives and pulled titles out of the files on deputy sheriffs, sergeants, lieutenants. He didn't pull them out basically on the executives, but the bottom line is that he went back so far that the investigations were no longer available on some of these cases. So I'm all for what you're talking about, but I also believe this. I believe that if we're going to go back and we are going to go back 20 years on a case, that what we need to do is we need to investigate it to its fullest potential rather than just taking a title, throwing it out, and putting them on a list of 300 and then taking their names and having the paper actually show up at the front doors of people who have been retired for 5 years.
Would you be willing? I mean, I'm sure you read that article, correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you find it troubling that some of those guys are still on the job?
Of course, it's troubling. Anybody who has committed the crime needs to go ahead and either be significantly disciplined or terminated. Now, those cases, though, just remember this, the titles sometimes are misleading. But if it is true, then there is a process that they need to go through. Those should be revealed to the public through the judiciary, and then at that point in time it should be a compelling issue to either terminate that deputy or not utilize that deputy's testimony ever again.
Are you comfortable with the degree of transparency that the Sheriff's Union currently allows the public?
Well, I don't think it's the Sheriff's Union. I know they do fight, but what they should do is they should do the same thing that the executives want on the department, and actually the deputy sheriffs. The deputy sheriffs do not want bad cops. And if you go out there, I will tell you right now, having been on the department for 33 years, any bad cop gives us all a bad name, so we want them out. And if, in fact, the system isn't doing that, under me as the sheriff, anybody who does something like that is going to be adjudicated very quickly and significantly if they're falsifying reports or using that excessive force.
Well, is there a perception among the current deputies that you would be less willing to do that?
No, absolutely not. I think what they're looking for is they're looking for somebody who will serve justice both in the community and in the department. And they want, and like I said, I have seen multiple cases wherein there are deputies on this department right now who have never been dealt with, and I can tell you they've committed significant crimes. But unless you get in and you begin starting to take a look, and unless you have the knowledge inside the department to know this, then it doesn't do us any good to scrape the surface. We really have to get inside. We have to understand the cases. We have to do good investigations, not targeted investigations, but fair investigations. And that goes for what's happening with people that actually get over into the criminal court system. There's a lot of investigations where people are being placed in jail, and these investigations are not only shoddy, the investigations are eliminating some exculpatory information.
Okay, William, thanks for the call. Now we're going to take a call from Gary in Redondo Beach, and he wants to know, Bob, what are you going to do about the homeless? And I'll also have that question for Eric. What are you going to do about the homeless, Bob?
Sure. The homeless situation.
Let him call. Gary, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Gary.
I had this thought, and that's why I wanted to get in. Why can't we give them a tent city the way the UN gives refugees tent cities in Afghanistan? Or give them a tent city in the high desert.
Okay, so here's my take on the homeless situation. One, it's a lot of the reason it's out of control is because, remember, the sheriff handles the entire county. So for the first 3 years of McDonnell's tenure, he had one deputy assigned to the homeless situation. When he started his campaign, he added another 14 deputies in there, which that was optics. That's for all of you out there to think he's doing something about it. But here's the bottom line with the homeless situation. It is out of control. Hepatitis A is out of control. We've got women and children. Yeah, we've got women and children on the streets. What we need to do is it's a big elephant. We need to start taking bites out of it, and the sheriff needs to be involved. He needs to be at the top of the chain watching to see what's happening, because we do have to enforce. Some people need to be arrested, and I know there's a move that there's a lot of compassion that we have to not arrest homeless, but some of them are predators, and we have to. The mental health situation. Tent City, you talk about that. We have closed jails up in the North County. We should be taking the homeless who we do arrest, or we should be taking those that have other issues, drug addiction, and moving them out to places like up in Wayside. And then from there, we should use a portion of that to job program them. We should use a portion of that to help them with drug treatment. We should use those facilities effectively rather than leaving them out here on the streets of Los Angeles.
Okay, and Eric, you want to tell me what you're going to do about
Well,
homeless?
listen, this is Eric Early speaking. I'm the only one in this race for Attorney General who is speaking seriously about this issue. I call it the three-headed scourge of severe mental illness, homelessness, and prescription drug abuse. When I get in office as Attorney General, I want to get together the best and the brightest in the mental health and the law enforcement and other fields that deal with the homeless. And I want to scour the earth for success stories on how to deal with these situations. But I really believe that we need to again start thinking about creating facilities that take care of the severely mentally ill, that are staffed by mental health professionals. Right now, our prisons are the largest mental institutions in the country. They're not set up for that. The homeless population, of course, they're not all severely mentally ill, but a large percentage of them are. And we need to figure out a way to, again, create these homes where they can be put and committed involuntarily and kept there for as long as they need to be kept there. At first blush, it sounds not compassionate, but there's nothing less compassionate than letting our citizens live in unsafe neighborhoods now where their safety is at risk. Our kids have to go to school. There's no doubt that these shootings that have occurred were done by severely mentally ill kids. Their parents knew they had problem on their hand. There was nothing they could do with these people. We have to do a deep dive in this again, and it's also compassionate for the severely mentally ill to put them in a place that takes care of them, not let them out on the street. There's another way I deal with this homelessness situation. We have these quote-unquote drug treatment, private drug treatment centers that are popping up. And what they do is they're luring in people from all around the country, claiming they will give them drug treatment. And when these people's public benefits run out, they let these people out on the street, and they add to our homeless. We have to stop these bogus drug treatment centers that are luring in future homeless from around the country. And then other issues, the continuing emptying of our prisons of felons, oftentimes violent felons, before their sentences expire, has to stop. Many of the people that are ending up in these homeless situations are the ones that are being let out of the prisons. But we have to start with an attorney general who actually cares about homelessness, cares about severe mental illness, and you're listening to the only guy in this race. There's 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans who actually cares about this stuff.
Oh, and let me ask you, Eric, what are you going to do about these illegal aliens having jobs? They shouldn't. You're not. If you're illegal, you're not supposed to even be working.
Listen, I believe in E-Verify, and we have to allow that E-Verify to happen. But I'm also not the person that's going to deport 2 million people. Okay, that rhetoric that came from the in the presidential race, I disagree with. If somebody's trying to become part of the American system, not breaking the law since they got here, we got to figure out a way to bring them into the system. At the same time, we got to secure our borders, because our country and our state can no longer afford an endless influx of illegal immigrants. We can't afford it. We have no obligation to take care of all these people from other countries. And I'll say also, because I need to, as a Republican, I have to be clear about this, I totally support our legal immigrants. The person talking here, me, Eric Early, is the son of 2 legal immigrants. People can come in from all over the planet Just wait your turn in line. Do what it takes. It took my mom 5 years to get into this country. My campaign manager is a legal immigrant. He came to this country. Apparently his family didn't do everything properly. Sent him out for another 5 years. They came back. He's a great American. So there's things we have to do, and we have to start doing it right. I'm a common sense Republican. We need a common sense Republican back in Sacramento, because what's going on in Sacramento is a mess. They're creating a criminal's paradise up there, and all they care about is continuing to get elected. And one other thing, I'm the only guy in my attorney general's race that voted for Donald Trump, and I'm very proud of it. That's Democrat or Republican. Thank God Donald Trump got elected.
Right. Okay, why don't we take a call from Chanel in L.A.? Chanel in L.A. Hi, Chanel.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I have a question. Either one of them could answer. It has to do with the black community. One of them mentioned the black community. My concerns are I don't see a lot of black law enforcement officers out there, and I feel that it's unfair. The black community has never had 85% to 95% like the Latino community has. And I really think it's an injustice and it's unfair. So what are your plans about that?
Well, that's a great question. And in fact, I worked Personnel Bureau. I was the captain of personnel back in 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. At that point in time, we did a lot of minority hiring. In fact, that needed to be our focus. Since that time, it's failed, and it has failed badly. And exactly what you're saying is exactly what I'm going out into the community and saying. The current sheriff basically has abandoned the community. We have to get out. We have to test at the churches out there. We have to test at the civic areas out there. We have to convince people out in those communities that being a deputy sheriff is a good job, and it's a great job because they can give back to the same community where they came from. And this is what we need. When we get officers out there who did not come from that community, they do not understand it. They don't know how to police it. And in fact, sometimes they're scared. So we need to absolutely do exactly as you're saying, get back out in the communities and do that recruitment, and it needs to be done very quickly.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of tension between the black community and the Latino community. I mean, it's not a coalition. There's a lot of angst and anxiety, and I think that's what Chanel was trying to express. We need someone to be aware of that, I think, conscientious about it.
Absolutely, and you can't do that if you don't go out. And I'll give you an example. I've spent a lot of time out with a group called Ceasefire, and I don't know if you're familiar with that group, Chanel. But the bottom line is you have to get out in the community, understand the community. And I will tell you, there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anguish
right.
there. And for
anger,
the right reasons.
And anger.
And for the right reasons.
Well, black folks feel pushed out of Los Angeles.
Of course.
We've been here forever.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's
and
going on.
I have been to that ceasefire meeting. I have. So I know what group you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's a very important group. They need to have a say. They need to be in the position to go ahead and be at the table with the Los Angeles County Sheriff. And they are already there with me. But as the sheriff, they're never going to leave because I need to hear what they have to say. Because what they have to say is not only important, it's earth-breaking in this regard. They've been there. They've done that. If you haven't walked a mile in their shoes, don't say we have.
We've been here forever. So anyway, we only have 1 minute left, I guess. Yeah. And I want to say thank you to my guests, Eric Early, who's running for Attorney General, and Bob Lindsey, who's running for L.A. County Sheriff's Department, which is a nonpartisan or bipartisan position. It's not either. Oh, and I also want to give out my love to my Truth Warriors and Mythbusters who have deep roots in Los Angeles, deep roots in California, and deep roots in America. This is my love song to you. I want to thank my engineer, Kevin, and I also want to thank my call screener, Brooke. We had a lot of calls. Don't forget to vote. That's Bob Lindsey for L.A. County Sheriff and Eric Early for Attorney General. I'll see you next week. There's the Neck of Truth Board, and happy Memorial Day. Thanks.